And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here to Talladega Super Speedway as we continue on the last chance qualifier weekend here at Talladega. Now it's time for the Mobil1 Cup Series, where one driver's going to make it in, be the 15th and final driver in this season's chase for the championship. And I'm being joined here in the commentator's booth by none other than Charles Jackson. How you doing, Charles?
I'm good, Seth, and I'm glad to see this. This is the last chance for these guys to make it in.
Now, we ended up having last week at Kansas several unusual names get into the chase due to there being a two-way tie for 10th place, and then another driver in Andy Timmons being just barely in the wild card 2 spot. Here in today's race, do you think we're going to see some of the bigger, more popular names up at the front, or are we going to have a surprise driver up here at the very end of this race?
I think we're gonna have a surprise. I mean, it's Dega, man. Anything can happen. I mean, it's a Russian roulette type thing. You know, the guys at the back can make it up to the front. So we'll see what happens.
All right, and we're also being joined here by another co-commentator. Dylan Young is in the booth with us. Welcome, Dylan.
Hey, not a problem. I'm glad to be here in the LCQ. It kind of reminds me of like what they do in the NRSL series, but here in this one, only one driver can make it in. So who could be the one lucky driver? You're about to find out, so you never know what to expect.
Well, you're obviously very familiar with LCQs. You had your LCQs for your Universal and Outback series just a few days ago. But I got to ask you, I mean, this is Talladega Superspeedway. There's going to be more than likely four-wide racing. Now, you came up clutch last week at Kansas, clinched yourself a spot in the chase by winning the race at Kansas, your second win of the season. How much more difficult is it going to be for these drivers to come up clutch and be in the right place at the right time on the final lap?
I'll tell you something, though. With that Kansas race, that was a tough race, and just to make sure to get to the lead after pit stops, we had a strong car all day long, and at the end of the day, we pulled out a miracle, a rabbit out of the hat, as like they say, and won the race to make the chase. It was just amazing. However, I'm looking at the guys in the field, and just, you know, you could be anywhere in the pack and win this race. Watching the truck race and all for the LCQ, it came down to just the final lap to get the winner there, and unfortunately, I didn't get to make it. But what I do know is this: is that anyone in this pack, even you could see in the back of the pack right there, could win the race. So you never know what to expect.
Well, Charles, you're a former Snickers Cup Series champion, actually the defending Snickers Cup Series champion, so Talladega was a place that you had to basically conquer on your route to getting the championship. So you know how to be in the right place at the right time at this track. Where is the best place to be on the final lap?
The best place to be is second, because if you could be second, you could do a Kevin Harvick slingshot and win the race. So I would say being second on the final lap is where you want to be.
All right, well, let's get these cars rolling off, and we're going to talk to our two co-commentators here about a couple other things. First off, no pit stop's going to come into play in this thing. So with that being said, how much harder do you think the racing's going to be here today, knowing that they aren't really going to have to worry about getting separated from each other due to pit stops coming into play?
I think it's just like another similarity to the Outback series when we had the LCQ and the Universal Land Cup series. You know, there were no pit stops, and just, you know, I mentioned before about how in the NRSL was 2, the NNSCRA one's only 1. So no matter what happens, you gotta just hope for these two main things: the big wreck doesn't happen, and no caution comes out before the white flag. Because once that happens, you gotta make sure if a caution somehow comes out before that time, like I could say about, you know, 2, 3, maybe 4 laps ago, you better hope that you can get to the line first, because if not, you're in trouble. That's all I gotta say.
Charles, the big wreck, will it happen, and if so, how early do you think that would happen?
I really do think it could happen. It could happen as early as lap 2, or it could happen as late as with 2 to go. But it is inevitable that it's going to happen.
It's going to be very interesting, too, because these drivers, this is their last opportunity. If they end up not winning this race, they're going to have to wait until next year to win the championship. And quite a few big names up here at the front of drivers that we know are going to be battling for other championships. I mean, Collard, Lawler, and Ian Dutta all starting up here inside the top 6. They're all in the running for the Snickers Cup Series chase, so you know, how much more, knowing that you're already in one chase, how much more is the desire to be in 2, or for some of these drivers' cases, 3?
it's just interesting, you know. I've had noticed it before. Koyulanis was a driver like that in my series. He did that in Season 2 Outback and Season 1 Universal. Made the chase easily in the Outback. And then when it came to the Cup, he won via the LCQ, so I know exactly how it could feel. If I had to look at one driver, though, I'm going to go with that 99 car, Levi McIntyre. He could pull something and win.
You got anybody in mind, Charles?
I got that. How about them junior motorsports cars of
The Hellmans.
Yeah, Ian Bennett and Georgia.
The Mayo cars.
Green flag.
Of course.
So green flag is out here, and you know, I've actually been looking through the history books here and everything. There are two drivers that come into this LCQ with an opportunity to make all three chases. Jacob Lawler is one of them. If he can win here today, he'll be in all three chases, and then tomorrow in the Snickers Cup Series LCQ, Austin LaPlante has a chance to make all three chases. What do you guys think? Is that a possibility? Are we going to see a driver be able to battle for all three championships?
I can see that happening. It's just one of those things that, you know, you can get very, very, good luck coming into the series. If you can come into all three championships, you're guaranteed 1/3 of a chance of winning a championship. 1 out of 3. And don't forget, LaPlante is a Mobil1 Cup Series champion. I don't think yet we have had, a person in the NNSCRA series that's won, 2 different championships. Not yet, I don't think. But keep in mind, it could happen.
Yeah, we've had Trent Dunham win a Truck Series and Mobil1 Cup Series championship. We've had Matthew Rodriguez also win a Mobil1 Truck Series championship. But you're right, no driver has ever won a championship in the same series twice.
Yeah, so that's another thing to keep an eye on too. But already I see Wolfgang Mason that's coming down to the inside field lead.
Yeah, here's a big thing that I've been wondering this entire weekend. I mean, this is an LCQ. Well, I'm not going to get to ask you guys because I think I just heard some wrecking back there.
Uh-oh. And I know it's a big record. Oh, it's a 12.
Oh,
Joshua Michaels is around, and his teammate Daniel Day, both the Penske cars.
Looks like Penske's not going to be in the chase.
41.
Yeah, Jacob Lawler, Kyle Corbett, they're back here. They may have been involved in something.
Probably just been a lucky 3-car incident there.
And look who got the lead 3 wide at the line. Levi McIntyre through the middle.
Ooh. And I don't know why, but Collar tried to nearly go
they're about to run.
Mason Wood and James McLeod, that was close.
Yeah, I've seen that happen before, and I think it was Season 1 of the Universal Orlando Cup Series after the first I think it was after the first caution. I can't remember. But coming to the line, they lean on each other towards the front, and it looked like they wouldn't wreck, but it did. It happened. So that's the one thing these drivers got to really be careful of when these cautions come. Don't lean on each other and cause a big stack up. That's a big problem if that happens, though.
Yeah, why do they lean on each other? Is it to scrub off speed or something? I don't really understand.
I basically have no idea. I can never figure that out too, but I think it's probably just a little. I don't know. It's really hard to say. I can never figure it out.
They want to get that side draft. Yeah.
Well, that could be too, but it is under caution, so I don't know how much a side draft's going to help you out. But anyway, we're under the yellow flag for the first time here today. Levi McIntyre is currently the leader. Let's jump back and see what happened to the 2 Penske machines of Joshua Michaels and Daniel Day. Here's a look at what happened right in the middle of the field. Watch the yellow machine of Joshua Michaels and the black car of Kyle Corbett. And we've seen this every time we come here to Talladega. They just get really close and start leaning at each other going into 3.
Yeah, that's a common thing in any type of NASCAR racing. Ooh, the 89 barely avoided it.
Oh, Daniel Day. Man, he almost got through, but his teammate was just sticking out too far.
I'll tell you one thing. The luckiest driver has to be the 89 era. That was a close call right there, almost getting involved. He got very lucky.
Kyle Matthews there in the Racing with Jesus Chevrolet.
Well, he's racing with Jesus, so he had Jesus on his side.
Exactly. But there's
Let
Corbett.
Jesus take the wheel.
Corbett, Lawler, the 2 of them getting a piece of it. Now, I don't know how significant the damage was on their machines. They basically got sandwiched up into the outside retaining wall, but that one right there, Daniel Day, I think he's going to be the one that's going to receive the most damage out of this, and he almost got through that. He was running, I think, at the very back of the pack, too.
Yeah, they said he was running 22nd at the time, but I've seen kind of this happen before where you kind of think with little damage it wouldn't affect their car, and it just, unfortunately, it can, and it's going to really cost them badly. But I think that 12 is really going to be okay, unless, like, some randomness happens and he doesn't like get up to speed. But
Yeah,
I don't know though. This should be interesting.
yeah, and you got to remember too, this is a restrictor plate track, which really relies on aerodynamics. Just the slightest ripple in sheet metal can cause problems. It can cause drag.
Definitely.
Well, looks like Daniel Day's championship chase hopes here for the Mobile Cup Series may be over, but the caution flag is about to be relinquished, and we're about to go back to green, so let's head back now for the restart.
I was about to say, I think it's about Wolfgang.
No, it's not about Wolfgang. Getting ready to go back to green flag racing here at Talladega Superspeedway. Levi McIntyre is the current leader. Right behind him is Ian Dutta, Jake Rogers there in third, James McLeod in fourth, and Wolfgang Mason's in fifth. Then it's Mason Wood, pole sitter Joshua Collard, Sean Henley in 8th, Charles Sanford in 9th, and Trent Dunham now in the top 10. We're starting to see here, at least early on, a lot of the big names, former champions, former championship contenders, they're all of a sudden up here in the running. I believe we only have one rookie inside, or no, two rookies, first and second, inside the top 10. So apparently the veterans realize this is crunch time. It's a make it or break it moment.
Yeah, for veterans, you know, who've been here since the beginning, or even like in the earlier seasons, they know they got to make a good charge and tell the rookies, "Hey, if you want to make it, you got to deal with me." It happens.
Here's a big question I was going to ask you guys back before that wreck happened, and the question that I was going to ask you is, I've not seen yet. Now it may end up happening here near the end, but I've not seen teammates work together. The Tweenix cars have not really worked together. The Junior Motorsports cars haven't really worked together. Is there a thing here in an LCQ where there really are no teammates? Your friends are where you find them, or do you have to rely on those teammates and find them somewhere here through this field?
I don't think there's no teammates at all. I think I've learned that from my LCQs. Because the irony of that, because even though there's only two that can advance in mine, I never really saw my teammates in my series work together. They were basically just racing like if it was the last lap, and they didn't care if it was a teammate or not. So I really don't see that happening as much in this race. If it does happen, it'll probably last very short.
Your thoughts, Charles?
Oh, what was the question?
Are we our teammates going to be working together here in an LCQ, or are your friends basically where you find them?
Yeah, you're pretty much right. Your friends are where you find them. I mean, you go for chase fire. I don't care if you've been on my team for years. Please do for fuck.
Good, inspiring words by Charles Jackson.
Indeed. Somebody write a book about his inspiring inspirations.
I may. Anyway, Levi McIntyre pulls out to a good lead, but Ian Dutta's falling right behind him, too.
Yeah, and I noticed that one driver, James McLeod, did not get a good jump. Now, here's a thought. He may be dropping back to his teammates Henley and Poteet, because they're not too far behind. I think Henley restarted 8th, and Henley is all over the place.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I'm looking at one driver that could possibly steal the win. Even though I have my pick, I'm looking at Trent Dunham right now. There's actually a good spot. He's in the middle of the pack, on the inside line. He'll get plenty of time because the pack's not really up to full pace yet, so he's in a good spot.
Look at Levi McIntyre. Talk about mirror driving. He went low to block Collard, he went to the middle to block Mason Wood, and then he went all the way to the top side to block Wolfgang Mason coming out of 4.
But he forgot to block that middle. Oh, he went to a different time at 4 wide per second.
Sean Henley coming with a full head of steam there. Henley going to be in the Snickers Cup Series chase, and it's kind of interesting because you look here, you see so many drivers up here that are going to be battling in one chase or another, and here they are with an opportunity to be battling in the Mobil Cup Series chase as well.
And here comes Henley for the lead.
Poteet trying to stick it underneath Sanford. Sanford was able to throw the block though. Close quarter there.
Yeah, I think with Talladega, they can go 4 wide, but just as long as they can't lean on each other. I think from the seasons I've done with that Talladega track, I think that's what I've learned. You can do 4 wide, just don't lean on each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them actually make it 5 wide here before, and they were able to settle it out, fortunately. I think it was coming out at 2, and they got it settled out before turn 3. Otherwise, that would have been disastrous. But as you said, 4 wide here, as long as they give room, they can do that like 3, 4, 5 rows deep.
Yeah, and still even moving up to the front. I'm seeing the 20 car already up to 2nd. He was actually in the back of the pack in the restart.
Yeah, Tanner Sullivan, and don't forget, Tanner Sullivan ended up doing really well in the All-Star race, which was a non-points event. Here he is with an opportunity here in another non-points event to have something go well for him.
Jesus, he just got himself ahead of Henley at the time. Barely got it, too.
Yeah, Tanner Sullivan's going to be racing for the Truck Series Championship as a rookie, and remember, he ended up having a win in the Truck Series, which came at a restrictor plate track, Daytona. So he knows how to get around these kind of tracks.
Absolutely. Sullivan trying to do what he can. I know he's a rookie in the series, and you know, I think this is actually his first big series he's wanted to join so badly. But you know, Tanner's got a lot of pressure because not only but the guy behind him, but also the guy behind him, Sean Henley and Anthony McCurry. Those are two well-known veterans in the NNSCRA, and I know they're going to be trying hard to get around him. And as soon as I say that, here comes Henley.
Well, I had a question for you guys here. I was just noticing, now they're side by side now for third place, but Anthony McCurry was working with Ralph Mason, and those two are teammates for Kyotech Race in the Snickers Cup Series, so maybe some alliances outside of the Mobil1 Cup Series forming here.
You know, you can, but don't forget, Ralph Mason and Anthony McCurry, those are good friends right there. I could definitely agree they can help each other out. But remember that key word, only one can make it in. I guarantee those alliances won't last long.
And we know that Anthony McCurry is already in the Snickers Cup Series chase for the championship. Here's a question. I mean, I know that these drivers, all of them want to win this race, but if it comes down to it, let's say something like that situation there with Anthony McCurry and Ralph Mason. Mason, this is the only chase he can make. McCurry's already in a chase. Would McCurry find it, you know, would he find it easy to be able to push Ralph Mason to the win?
That's hard to say. That's hard to say, and I'm saying that because normally, you know, the Talladega races that we see, normally you don't allow the teammates to win, unless if you're Dylan Pote and James Silverfox. Unless if you're those two, as I could see they're going 4 wide behind them, but it's really hard to say though. It really is.
Charles, Sean Henley out to a huge lead right now. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No.
I don't think it's a bad thing too. I know I'm interrupting Charles because I can see they're going 4x4 and that ain't gonna work.
Well, here's the thing. If they stay 4 wide, Henley's gap could remain, but now, you know, the inside line's starting to form up again here with Collard and Jake Rogers. Those two actually are teammates, amazingly enough.
And I just want to mention, I do not want to be where that 14's at. He is in the worst position of all, but now he's going to finally get a little breathing room. Oh, never mind. Goes back into trouble.
You know, we've talked about a lot of drivers here. How about Jake Cole, that 21 car, the winner of the Truck Series LCQ, has an opportunity here maybe to go 2 for 2 and make 2 chases this season.
Yeah, Jake Cole had a really good truck in that race, and I can guarantee you, I did not even see that 55 car, or excuse me, 55 truck throughout that race until that final lap. So I have to give Jake Cole credit on that, but if he goes 2 for 2, wouldn't that be something? And I don't know if I'm correct on this, I think he's in the Snickers LCQ.
Yes, he is. Yep, he'll be in that 39. Charles, I got a question here for you. You were talking about as far as when the caution could come out. Now, we had one earlier on. They're racing pretty hard here. We could have here one late. So, well, boy, I know when to talk. They're just wrecked.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, my goodness.
Was it?
Oh, McCurry.
I think Jessica Stone's got some damage there.
I think she and McCurry may have gotten together.
And I've noticed the irony of the Mobil1 Cup Series on the wrecks. They have been very small, so that's a good break for these drivers.
Man, Anthony McCurry trying to get Audi into the Mobil1 Cup Series chase, and doesn't look like that's going to happen. And again, to your point, Dylan, it looks like only 2 drivers involved in this one. We had about 4 drivers involved in the other one. It has been really shocking. We really haven't this entire weekend had the big one take place at Talladega, which you kind of would definitely expect in a non-points LCQ race.
Well, I'll be honest, when I did my LCQs, you know, for the past 3 seasons in Outback and the 2 seasons in the Cup, there at least has been a big wreck once, and there has been very little sometimes a small wreck. And the only time that's ever been a small wreck was last season, Season 1 in the Universal Cup Series, as Anthony McCurry just retired. Tough break there, but you know, it was when Leo Rogers blew an engine, and Jack Richards got into him. Richards spun. He spun on the apron, the caution came out, and it kind of, you know, screwed the end of the result. But point being, though, normally you would expect the big one. Not today. It's actually pretty shocking. So, it's like they say, though, there is a first.
It is, that's indeed true, and it's going to be interesting here too with this caution coming out. If this caution had come out maybe about 2 laps later, this race may end under yellow, but with it coming out as early as it did, we may have a green-white checkered to finish out this race. But before we do that, we do have to look back, see what happened to Anthony McCurry and Jessica Shelton to put us under the caution for the second and what hopefully would be the final time here today. Sean Henley is the current leader here at Talladega. Well, they were racing 4 wide here near the rear of the field, and well, maybe the 14 of Chris Washer and the 61 of McCurry may be the two that start this incident.
I think so, because this was just like the other caution that came, and either that or McCurry leaned on the 14. I really don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's see.
Right there, yep. Chris Washer came down just a little bit.
That was nearly like the same exact wreck that happened on that last caution. That irony there.
And Jessica Shelton, wrong place, wrong time, kind of got boxed in there with nowhere to go.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going to happen with Chris Washer, Jessica Shelton, but despite where they are in the back of the pack, I think it's safe to say that they're probably not going to make it unless a huge miracle happens and, like, the whole front of the field died and, like, well, died, like, going around and turned around all, that those two could be bound for the spot, but I think it's safe to say, though, Anthony McCurry, I don't think he's going to be making the chase.
No, he's taken himself already back to the garage area with that Monster Energy Audi. So McCurry will be in the Snickers Cup Series chase, but he will not be in the Mobil1 Cup Series chase. Tough break there for McCurry. He was up there inside the top 5 at one point, but then dropped back, and there you see Joshua Michaels, Kyle Corbett. They had lost the draft earlier on due to the damage on their machines, but that brings out the caution. Let's see just exactly how many laps we're going to have to finish out this race here at Talladega in the Mobil1 Cup Series LCQ. Well, the word's official. Lights are out atop the pace car. Green, white, checker to finish out today's race here at Talladega Superspeedway. This is when it's going to come down to crunch time, because if the caution flag comes out at any point during this race, if it comes out during the 2-to-go lap, then we will have the race end under caution, or if they wreck during the white flag lap, doesn't matter, we're racing it back to the checkers.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, I love these green-white checkers, especially a super speedway race. You never know what could happen. And look at my pick all of a sudden. Second place. Just when you thought Levi McIntyre was not going to go anywhere, you may be wrong. He is in second. He is in a very good spot. But I'm looking at the drivers in the top 7 to really get this win. Top 7.
Now, Charles, I asked you earlier on where you want to be on the final lap. You said second place, but now, with 2 laps to go, where's the best place to be to have yourself in that second position when the white flag lap, or when the white flag waves, I meant to say?
Very simple. This is NR 2003, and we all know the inside line is where you want to be. So, if you're not on the inside line, you're going to go bye-bye. So, yeah.
Taking a look here at these drivers in this field, and it's interesting too. You look at the top 5, actually you can look all the way back through the top 6. Sean Henley already locked into the Snickers Cup Series chase. Levi McIntyre already locked into the Truck Series chase. 4th place Jake Cole after his win yesterday. He's in the Truck Series chase. Right behind him you got Ian Dutta already in the Snickers Cup Series chase, and Charles Sanford already in the Snickers Cup Series chase. The one driver in that top 6 that is not locked into a chase is Wolfgang Mason. So, you know, he's got an opportunity here to make the chase, but he's got a lot of drivers around him that want to take that spot as well.
And this is technically the only chance he can of making the chase, so Wolfgang's got a lot of pressure here.
Sean Henley, ever since getting out in front, he's been dominating. Charles, can he throw the blocks here more on the last 2 laps?
Maybe, but he might get turned into
Already Ian Dutta gets kicked up the high side. Now Levi McIntyre gets kicked up to the high side. Moves being made early here.
I don't blame Wolfgang Mason. 2 laps to go. It's go time. Let's go.
He's the only Dodge in this field, I believe, and he wants to go to victory lane here and get himself in the chase. He's coming to the inside, but he needs help.
I can guarantee you Ralph Mason told him on that restart, you know, you're in the best position better than I am. You better go for that front immediately. Don't take any holdbacks.
Is he going to be able to make the move? No, Henley on the high side gets around because Wolfgang had nobody to help him on the back straightaway.
And look who's third on the inside line. That's Jake Cole. I can guarantee you, I think a lot of us are going to be on him. As there goes Cole for the inside for second.
I think that is Jake Rogers, too.
Yep,
Jake
Jake
can't make the move yet. Wolfgang still has a chance.
White flag in the air, 1 lap to go.
I guarantee you, Sean Henley's going to be using a lot of mirror driving. That Wolfgang is going to do whatever he can to get that first spot.
Yeah, Wolfgang, if he can make a move around the back straightaway, that's great. But he needs the drafting help. It didn't work for him last time.
Jake Cole, though, he's losing that lead pack a little bit because here goes Wolfgang again for the lead. He needs Jake Cole to push him.
Here comes Jake Cole, and he's getting a shove from Ian Dutta.
And Wolfgang's going to the inside. He's got a chance.
He has him on the inside, but look at there. Jake Cole, Ian Dutta, Joshua Collins, James McLeod, they're all nose to tail.
Jake Cole, is he trying to peek? Is he trying to? He doesn't have it.
Oh, did he get to the inside? No! Wolfgang throws the block!
Wolfgang Mason off the front stretch is going to win the LCQ here, the Mobil1 Cup Series. And he is going to make the chase.
Wolfgang.
I can guarantee Ralph is going to be really happy after this.
And, you know, you think back, Wolfgang Mason, talk about a guy who knows how to come through in non-points events. He was the All-Star race winner this year, too.
The irony of that.
Wow.
I think it's safe to say for the non-points event, he deserves the MVP.
Wolfgang Mason going to have representation for Dodge in this season's Mobil1 Cup Series chase for the championship, and I can't help but think with the fact that we're going to 3 road courses during this chase, this could be a big opportunity for Wolfgang.
You know, especially for the international drivers that are in the chase, this is huge. And for Wolfgang Mason, I think this is actually the second or third chase lately he made in for Mobil1.
I believe it's the second straight chase he's actually made. I may be incorrect in that. But I think he made last season's chase for the championship. It was either that or season 5.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you, Wolfgang Mason, if he gets a good qualifying effort on these road courses, he's going to be a threat for the championship. I can guarantee you that. So watch out for Wolfgang.
And I think Wolfgang followed your recommendations to the letter, Charles. He got to the inside line when the green flag came out, and he was in second place on that final lap.
Yeah.
So
I think the irony too on that though was that when Jake Cole tried to go underneath before that final lap, it looked like Wolfgang was going to get past.
It did. I thought Jake Cole may get a fender underneath him, and we may have actually had a 3-wide battle to the finish, but just
somehow
didn't quite get there.
Wolfgang got that spot back. He told Jake, "Hey, get me up to the front. If you want Henley to get past, you got to help me first." And he did. So give Jake Cole the assist for Wolfgang there.
Yeah, and Jake Cole, tough break there, almost 2 for 2, but at least he's in one chase we know of, and maybe another one if he wins tomorrow.
So 2 for 3, you never know. But once again, congrats to Wolfgang. He made the Mobil1 LCQ. The question is, who will win the Snickers LCQ?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how much of an impact Wolfgang Mason makes in the chase as he is locked in there. Now we know our 15 drivers who will battle it out for the championship, and Sean Galligan's not alone. He's got a fellow Brit in there with him in the chase this season, too.
A fellow international driver to represent the Brits, so it's going to be interesting.
All right, well, this race is over. Jake Cole is in the Truck Series chase. Wolfgang Mason's in the Mobil1 Cup Series chase now. Now the question is, who's going to be in the Snickers Cup Series chase? Hope you guys will be tuning in for that event. If you enjoyed this event, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the crew today. Also, be sure to subscribe to Dylan Young and Charles Jackson's channels. The links to their channels are in the description. Great series going on over there. I believe, actually, all 3 of us now are in our final stages. I know Charles is in his chase races. Dylan Young just put out his first chase race yesterday. And,
for Outback.
Yep.
So.
And the chase is getting started here. So, well, all 3 of us are going to have champions pretty soon.
I think the irony, too, at this time of the recording, I'm going to get ready to do the Cup Series race at Arizona for chase number 1. But I just actually made a fail. It's actually 2 days ago where the Outback one was. So, my mistake.
There you go. So, we hope to see you guys here for the Snickers Cup Series LCQ, which will be the final one before we head to our first chase race at Atlanta. And I'll let Dylan and Charles say something before we end the recording.
Charles wants the Huggies.
Yes, I do. Cheerio, old chap.
What?
This is why black people do not need to be Britons.
Oh my
Sorry.
goodness. You've been watching production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best. Bye, everybody.
The Huggies, man.